So, how do you come up with melodies? Boy, oh boy. And I want you guys to ask as many questions as you can. So, the question of the hour, how do you come up with melodies? Kaelin, how am I gonna do it? How am I gonna come up with melodies? Because the thing I can come up with is drums. I can kick a cold-blooded drum loop, but the melodies, the chords, bass line, like how do I do it? I'm gonna give you a small framework that if you can sit with this long enough, I can 100% guarantee you, if you grab this and understand it enough, you can make literally any idea that you possibly want to. I'm going to do my best to explain this because I have dealt with this for years and have not had a great way of explaining it until recently. I had a conversation with one of our Makers Club members, and his name is Tommy K. If you don't know who Tommy is one of our very own Makers Club members, and he actually had a conversation with me about drums. So where I'm going to talk about this is from a non-theory headspace and work our way into a little bit of what I just mentioned a few moments ago, which is embodiment. So I just told you guys, and I just asked, hey, what if you thought of music that you were really, really into? Like the music you're into. He said, open Twitch and you dropped my name. See, Tommy, this is perfect timing because now I'm about to talk about something that you actually helped me figure out as I was explaining to you. So Tommy, shout out to Tommy. I was having a conversation with him about rhythm and how to come up with drum loops and how to look at patterns. And so I'm going to break this down into the most simplest way I could possibly can. So let's say, for instance, you have a great drum loop in front of you. And I'm going to randomly pull from my volume library. Let's just say I'm going to go to volume. Let's actually go to the most recent pack I just dropped. I dropped Pocket Drums 03. Let's go ahead and drop that into this session real quick. I'm going to put the BPM on 94. So check this out. I'm going to give you guys a crazy, crazy piece of advice when it comes to coming up with melodies. Now, you wouldn't think you're able to come up with melodies from drum loops, but I will tell you this. Two things for certain when it comes to rhythm. A melody is the musical composition, note-wise, of a rhythm. And so when I think about melodies, I'm not just thinking about what notes am I hitting to get this result. That's part of it. But another piece of it that I think is kind of essential, that when it comes to drums, you know how something sounds by how it feels. So I'm going to play this drum loop and I'm going to show you guys something that kind of happens internally. And this is coming from someone that is not like deep in theory when it comes to chords. So here's this drum break. I'm going to ask you a few questions. And write this in the comment section and in the chat. What are some words that come to mind when you hear this drum loop? Just give me some words that come to mind when it comes to this drum loop. Crash says bounce. Okay. Africa. Tribal groove. It's really bouncy. J Quill says hips. It's a big boom. There's a pocket for sure. So I'll tell you something that's kind of consistent in the words that you guys are mentioning. What's super consistent in the words that you guys are mentioning with this track, it's bouncy. So I'm gonna tell you this: if you want to make something that matches the drum loop, think about the words that just came up just by listening to a drum loop. Mind you, we haven't came up with a melody yet. We're just coming up with words. So we think about something bouncy, right? We think about something super, super bouncy. So if you could use your ears, you hear that little weird little tink little sound? Here's how you know if something's catchy. Can you mimic it back? Do you see what just transpired? I didn't even throw a crazy theory at y'all, but you just saw what just happened. So what just happened is the drum break by itself has a rhythm. But what's funny is, as the drum break is going, there's these little pockets. There's little pockets of rhythm, not just da da do da do do da do. You can hear really, Tommy said it just clear as day, strong pillars of some sort of cohesive thing that's happening over and over again. Now I'll tell you this: to write a really strong melody, melodies are an extension of rhythm that is consistent in pulling and pushing. The reason why I say pulling and pushing, and this is going to be the most important part of what I'm about to explain to you when it comes to melodies. Coming up with melodies is not about the notes that you choose. It is how you interact with the notes you got. I could take those same notes and apply it to a whole nother drum break. It will feel very different, but it goes along to this drum break. Trey Swift says, is there a workflow template that keeps the arrangement composition process simple? I will show you. I actually have a template right now inside of my Makers Club in the Gumroad. So Ableton Live template, you could look my name up on Gumroad and see that I sell a Ableton Live template that allows me to just kind of add, drag and drop sound effects and stuff, all that too. So if you have Ableton, this is a template that I'm using as well. So all the effects and everything, like you won't even need to like worry too much about like effects and stuff like that. That's the template I'm using for this session. But back to when it comes to creative melodies, right? Creating melodies is literally a combination of pushing, pulling, and anticipation. All rhythm is anticipating you're anticipating the next thing. The only difference is it's not just melody anymore. It's literally not the melody, but the rhythm anymore. It's literally the melody. In this case, if you come up with a little melody that fits the drum loop, how do you know which sound best fits the melody? So I'll tell you this, all those words that you literally just verbatim saw with this beat that just came in. You saw the words that came in that said bouncy. Someone said spacey. Someone said deep. Someone said pocket. So all of these words, right? Think about the sounds that are already inside of the drum break by itself. This drum break is more than just drums. It's also a melody underneath all of it. This drum break has a melody in it. Now, here's something really, really interesting. Before I get into the deep chords and stuff like that, before I start breaking all that weirdness down, because I only know as much as my brain will allow me to expand on at this moment. I might have to do a part 1, part 2. But there's already a melody inside of this. Could it be any key? It could, but you might have to actually look at it from hearing wise. So sometimes when I hear people play around with like a key, I think sometimes when it comes to this, it comes to production, everybody could literally be like, oh, it could be any key. But there's also this thing when it comes to things being in a key. Like there's a set of notes. Like each key has a set of notes that it doesn't change. It doesn't deviate from. So doom doo 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 dum doo 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 dum doo doo. That's what I'm hearing with this drum break. Y'all might hear something completely different. So literally, I'm going to go straight to the piano and play this. Now, here's the funny part. This is not me using any theory except by using my ears to hear what the track is telling me. So I'm just going to use my ears. Whatever that strongest emphasis, and this is kind of like one of the biggest points here, the strongest emphasis of the note you're hearing probably might be the key. It will take some practice in hearing what you're hearing and embodying it. Now, this is what I'm going to show you guys. Embodiment, okay? When I just sat here and listened to this drum break and my brain started to mimic back what I was hearing, and I started to sing it, what that is called is embodiment. So the thing that I'm hearing, the melody, I'm embodying it with my voice. Now, here's where a lot of people do get mixed up. To go from the embodiment of the voice and the embodiment of the keys, how does someone translate the melody in their brain to like playing on a piano? Well, I'll tell you this. Do you know your voice well enough to say, I'm singing this note, I hear this note, dun, dun, dun. I'm going to go to the piano and go. This isn't even me trying to do any kind of deep theory. It's just me finding the consistencies of what I'm hearing. The consistencies of what you hear always has an embodiment. What's funny is this. I'm just going to play that on top of this drum break and watch what happens. By the way, I don't want to freak anybody out. This is transposed, by the way. I did transpose the keyboard. So let me actually go back and do it from a non-transposing way. So let me go back to the regular piano. I'm going to go back to the regular piano for this one. Hold up. Let me swap it again. So this is the key of C. The reason I know that's the key of C, I learned that all the white notes are literally C. I transpose everything to D flat though. But that's a whole nother conversation. So just on the idea, Tommy says, can you play the first note in the phrase more like a ghost note? So let me tell you the secret of how to create melodies, right? So check this out. The rhythm of what you're hearing is really just placed on how much space you're giving a note and what you're doing with it. Because I don't have to do that the whole time. I could. So what I just did right there, right? I just started to explore. I'm in the key of C. But what's funny is, these are all the major notes. All the white. It literally repeats. 12 notes that just repeat. So check this out. So I just embodied a little bit of this melody. Now I'm about to just start explaining. Yeah, so Joshua says, now we have a song. That walk down was tough. What's funny is, I learned a little bit about this when I was in school, right? Whenever I am in C or like playing in any kind of key, there's this thing called a chromatic scale. If you've ever watched a video of, what's the name of that bass player? GOAT bass player. He like plays around with the chromatic scale. I'm blanking on his name. Someone will probably say his name in the chat. He's literally like one of the greatest bass players ever. Victor Wooten, bro. So check this out. So Victor Wooten has this thing where he talks about chromatic scales, and all a chromatic scale is just walking down in between all of the notes. Now, what's funny is, the first time I ever sat down in front of a piano and thought about like creating melodies, I was like, how am I gonna turn that into something that makes sense? Well, check this out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna chromatically keep one note right here, and I'm gonna start chromatically walking down. Ugh. Ooh. 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 So here's the funny part, right? That's just chromatically walking down. That's chromatically walking up. So check this out. So let's try something. I'm gonna just play the drum loop. Ooh, wait a second, that's kind of cool. Came up with it as I went. Okay, so let me tell you what's happening right now. I'm kind of jamming with this. Right? Why this just became a lot more easier to kind of come up with things is simply because of the fact that there is an embodiment happening. And I'm going from my brain to literally low-key an Arabic scale. It is. Yeah, low-key. But what's so funny is I'm low-key thinking from the perspective of like, all right, now I got the drums, I got a melody, and I'm thinking about bass. Now what's funny is I'm just kind of humming things. Nothing's sticking yet, but eventually I'm going to come across something that makes a lot of sense. Let me embody that. Let me do that. Let me go lower. You got to embody the sound. Now I want to do a call and response with that bass. So that bass, you hear the drums going blah 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 blah. I'm literally gonna respond with it. So there we go. Now. That's crazy. So you see what just happened here, right? Now what's funny is all of this is purely just me not knowing what the heck I'm doing. But really, the only thing that's underneath all of this is for every sound that you do have or think about a simple process. The thing you're humming has an embodiment to it, even down to the drum break that you're making. Because the moment you take the drum break out of it, it is now its own thing. And your own thing, right? Remember how I told you guys, reference what you know, right? I know piano long enough to know I've heard this jazz chord. You know, Everybody Loves the Sunshine, right? So I'm in the key of C. So check this out. I'm going to do something funny. I'm going to do something super funny because I never explained this on camera before. But I'm going to chromatically do something funny. So this is a C major chord. Now what's funny, this is what I like to call a augmented. Augmented more so because of the notes that are in between the fingers here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on both sides of these 3 fingers, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is an augmented chord. This is a major chord. Major chords have 2 notes on the left side and 4 notes on the right side. Now check this out. What just happened? If you drop this finger here from an augmented, keeping it augmented, it'll now change the key of your chord. A flat major. Because that's like the middle note. So check this out. If I change this chord, check this out. This is now A major. I'm just sliding this finger down here. Now watch what I'm about to do. I'm gonna cluster a note between this third, or like this bass right here, like bass of the chord. I'm gonna cluster it. Now we got a major 7th. Y'all know when I be making beats? And I'm chromatically just walking how I'm just playing. I am literally chromatically walking up and down with this same chord. So A flat major 7. Look at that. It's just clusters. Y'all ever, in matter of fact, here's a funny thing, right? Jazz, have you ever played Street Fighter Third Strike? That's the Street Fighter chord. That's what it is. So that's what I grew up with. That's what I know. So, and I'm playing it just on here. So check this out. So now I can kind of play around with it. I can play around with that. My pitch wobble, that's old school. It's just the old school pitch bend. Homie said, any tips for bouncy bass lines? So bouncy bass lines, think about what we just came up with when it came to this, right? This. The pocket of this drum break, right? You want the bass line to be bouncy, right? No, the keys sound slightly detuned. Yes. So I actually have a stack of keys. I'll explain that in a second. So if you want a bouncy bass line, you need something that literally is bouncing with the pocket. So let's just go ahead and mute this real quick. Let's say our key is key of C, right? So check this out. I'm gonna embody the bass for a second, right? You see what just happened? I'm thinking like, okay, a bass is only gonna play one note at a time. Obviously, the human body can only embody one thing at a time. So if you're going to embody a bass and you want a bouncy bass, you have to imitate that rhythm and play around with this. I'm gonna play that. I like that. Da 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 da. That's that chromatic thing I was telling you about. I like that. That's actually very. I actually like that a lot. Bouncy bass line. Let's mute the drums for a second. So let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a great piece of advice because I just saw a few things come up in the chat because someone was like, I don't know where to go. Let me tell you where to go. I'm going to tell you exactly where to go. You go to where your curiosity leads you. I'll tell you this, right? If you were to really think about it for a second, just really think about it for a second. If you've made beats before, what have you actually put in your songs? What actually have you put in your records? What if you sit down and make a beat and you finish in a matter of hours, days? Have you ever asked yourself the question of what is actually inside of this thing that I really like? You got drums, okay. You got bass. You probably got a sample from somebody you saw on YouTube. Those little emphases. Those things. Yeah. Now that I have a loop, how would I extend it to create something that has more sections? So I'll tell you my variation tool. I have a giant thought process when it comes to variation. So I learned that chords, bass lines, melodies, bass lines, chords, all have a thing called voices. Even these chords, you're hearing 4 voices being moved chromatically around a piano. Now, if I wanted to create more variation, my signature trick to create more sections is to literally, and this is actually going to be a great point to bring home. I always have wondered, how do I go about getting past the 9 or 8 bar loop? Well, first off, let's duplicate this thing. Either you can go about adding a whole new chord progression, or you can now choose a whole new section to build around. So think about it like this. We just built this whole beat off of the drums. But once you remove the drums and you just hear the chords, you're gonna hear something completely different than when you played the drums. The mute button is also collaborated too. So I would recommend whatever you just added, mute everything but what you hear mostly out of everything. So notice we talked about melodies, right? We talked about this in the very jump. So if I wanted to completely do something different here, I want to do something completely different here. The question becomes, how do I change this next section? The next section is, you need to build around something else. Like, literally build around something completely different. Like, don't build around the melody and the drum loop, because we already have the melody and the drum loop. That's already been sold to us. But I want to do something else with these chords. Yes, change what you're literally beginning with, and I will guarantee you will have another idea come out of it. Let me show you. Check this out. Check this out. The cohesion literally goes from not adding a brand new sound, but approaching the same sounds you got from a different perspective. So I got these chords, right? Check this out. See what just happened? See what just happened? You can add a bunch of layers or completely move in a whole different direction. Mute the drums if you have to in order to hear something specific. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. I gotta embody that into the bass note that I'm hearing. See what just happened? You see what just happened? Do you see what just happened? So that is now a new section built around the same chords. So it's literally me embodying. Yeah, there we go. So what's funny is this. The fact that I'm doing this now makes it easier to think about ideas of a bridge, a chorus, a hook, after, like, there are people who literally create the arrangement as they go. My brain, because I'm more about feeling, and this is going to be one thing I'm going to let you, leave with you guys in this. My take on building arrangements is literally, and I mean literally, one of the only differences in my approach to music versus anybody else in like the industry doing it on a professional level. I know a lot of homies that literally just jam, and from the jams, they pick the best sections, because someone will be like, is that a hook? Is that a verse? Is that a bridge? Let me tell you, this sounds like a verse to me. This is a verse. Okay. So this right here is a verse. chorus right here. And then right to the hook right here. Okay, right? So you have like the hook right here. Yeah. And so let's say you decide to go back. Let's say you decide to go back and like try and like put a hook on it. You could probably keep that in there. The back end is pre. Yeah. And then all that. So this is the cool part. This is the really, really cool part about writing and making things, is because as time goes on, you can add strings, you can add brass, you can add synthesizers, you could literally add so many layers if you want to. You can, and this is what I would implore everybody from the questions of adding melodies. Every single thing that I just did had to have gone through 3 phases. 1, what am I hearing? 2, what am I embodying? 3, what am I going to put that embodiment through? If you, who doesn't have an idea for a melody, how to create melodies and chords, if you don't have an idea, if you use that format, I will guarantee you everything about music that you don't know yet will slowly start to make sense. You need a reference point. And I'm going to go ahead and say this on a limb, because I've heard some really unique conversations when it comes to people not knowing like how to come up with ideas and like, oh, I want to come up with my own original ideas. Did you know that some of the most original ideas were references from other people's songs? And it's not like they were stealing anybody's records. It's like Hall & Oates, I Can't Go For That, the bass line, that inspired Thriller. That's how this music works. You're referencing things that feel insane. So that's how it works. You think we just getting ideas from the sky like that? Not all. Even the melody that you think is 100% original, you probably heard it in a different variation before. Your brain probably variated it in a totally different way and like, nah, I think this is hard. Why do you think like people in the Makers Club, when you hear like certain melodies, we're all referencing something a little bit differently than how we initially heard it? That's the beautiful part about the mind. The mind is going to give it a whole different variation. So that is how I would approach it. Is there any questions about how melodies don't make sense to them or anything? Is there any curiosity with that? Because I've been seeing a lot of discourse on how to make melodies, and like making melodies is so fun. Like you could really, melodies allow you to become someone that you want to be. Ain't that cool? Like you could literally make a beat and subconsciously become Frank Sinatra, or become, you could become freaking Prince if you wanted to. You could literally become anybody. You could become Donald Glover. You could become Kendrick. You could become anybody. And you don't need a lick of technology for that. Obviously, you need a little technology to be able to go from point A to point B. But you see what I'm saying? Like you could really become anybody. Maybe the distinct sound choices for different melodies is still a little unclear. So I'm gonna give you this. Let me break your brain real quick when it comes to making melodies and using sound choices. Sound choices. That's what we're talking about. So I'm gonna tell you this. For all these sounds that I referenced, the palette of sounds that I'm using, I'll tell you, it's a combination of a Rhodes and a piano. You get this sound purely by having a piano and an electric key put together. Now, why is that the sound. Why is that the choice? So someone said in the comments section, this is kind of like neo soulish. This is very R&B, very jazzy. Well, if you know my influences very well, you will know that Jay Dilla, Robert Glasper, and pretty much anybody from the jazz fusion era of the 70s is kind of like my calling card. In those records, the predominant instrument outside of just the drums and the bass that you're hearing is the electric piano and a grand piano stacked with synthesizers kind of around it. Now, here's going to be a crazy kicker, right? Here's a crazy kicker. Anytime I think about adding sounds, I don't just only reference the sounds that are inside of the drum break, right? I also have to ask the question of what genre of this beat or this drum break is this pulling me towards? This beat immediately for me pulled a lot of neo soul and jazz and fusion out as I started playing the track. So that's why the chords sound the way they do, because the choices of the sounds come from the records that I used to listen to. So if you want to know how to choose the right sounds, it literally comes from the reference of where you got it from. That's the reason you don't hear strings all on my certain records. It's like if you hear like a full band, and I'm probably was listening to a lot of full band music. Yeah. Zoo Unique says this is why you got to have good taste first and foremost. And that takes time. Developing the taste necessary to even know what to choose first. I would honestly give, and this is probably going to be my homework for you guys watching this. This is probably going to be my homework for y'all. You hear your NBA 2K flips in the drums. Yes. I'll tell you this. This is going to be your homework. This is going to be your homework I'm going to give you. This is going to be homework. Hold up. Let me give you the homework. So the homework that I'm going to give you, if you want to develop your taste, take the music that intrigues you. Get a piece of paper. On the piece of paper, write down why you like this record. Is it everything in the record that you like? Do you like the drummer? Look up who the drummer is. Find a word that describes the drummer. Look up the person playing the bass. Look up the person who's playing the keys. Find a word that is associated with that person. Write it down on a giant list. And also write down the instruments that you don't like very well. Take note of what you do like and what you don't like. Because if you do become more aware of what you do like, it'll start opening your palette to more sounds and more choices. You'll start taking more risks. And I think if you haven't developed the time or the time spent in knowing what you like first, trying to create melodies, trying to create ideas, trying to come up with the next concept, trying to make something that you normally don't make will become very difficult because there is not an embodiment and there's not a reference point. But if you find a reference and you spend time with it, know it up, down, like literally become a student to know who's on a record. If you know who's on a record, you can imitate it easily, bro. That is my 411 free melody class that I just gave you. Any questions? Any questions before I hop off here? Tommy says, I hate the DX7 FM pianos. Bro, those are so funny to me. The Casio keyboard is hilarious. But that is what I would recommend the homework for you to be. And I guarantee you, you spend some time with the records you got or like you're into, you'll start learning some new things. You'll start learning some like, oh, I'm into this. How to book a one-on-one, I'm gonna tell you. So I was actually just talking about this just a second ago called Maker's Studio. If you want to book a consultation with your boy, hit Maker's Studio, $25 a month. You can be able to hit me up one-on-one. Hit me up one-on-one. And you can be able to book a consultation. I actually have a few individuals that I've been meeting with daily. Shout out to Ronnie or Spacely as well. I've been meeting with Ciano. If you want to tap in with it, literally just Google Maker Studio, Kaelin Ellis, and you'll see this link. You'll see here. It might say Makers Plus when you look it up, but you click on it. That is literally how you can tap in with me. Sheridan says, I'm in the Studio Plus. Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So this is gonna also go back up on YouTube, by the way. Sheridan, I was actually gonna tell you, if you did not know, I have this thing inside the Makers Club. Inside the Makers Club, there's this thing called Built a Pocket. And long story short, I've been taking the time to make these breaks, sound packs, a bunch of different tools, right? And I decided to take a moment and be like, what if I just made a machine? Like, what if I made a legit machine out of all my sounds? And so that's what I did. And you can actually mess around with that bad boy. Ciano says, it's okay. It's still $25 a month. Yeah, it is. It's still 25. It's not 100, Ciano. It's not. 100 is for anybody who wants to get more into the tools that I'm going to be making, because I'm going to be dropping a bunch of them. The newest one I just dropped was the Built to Pocket machine, and that's fully customizable when you upgrade to $100 a month. And I'm going to be making some new stuff. I'm about to be making widgets. I'm about to make widgets. Let me see here. One thing. Hold up, I'm looking for something. Sheridan, what's your Discord? What's your Discord thing? What's your Discord username, Sheridan? Is it Sheridan as well? I'll tweak that as well. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna do something real quick. Real quick. My mouse actually just died on me, bro. Hold up. Aww. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Neelock, the Beat Ninja, checking in from Atlanta, Georgia, and you are now rocking with the sounds of the one and only Makers Club, brought to you by my homie Kaelin Ellis, right here on WMKRS FM, Makers Club Radio, live at 5. Let's get it.
All right. There we go. I'm about to old school it. All right, I gotta old school this. There we go. Yeah. There we go. So that's basically it.